This is Iron Trader, and this is the weekend edition. Today we're going to go over do something a little bit different. We're going to go over some seasonality charts on oil and on natural gas, and then we're going to look at some chart patterns, and then we're going to look at a little bit of scalping, and then we're going to look at some candlesticks here. Exactly how to go and read these charts is what we're going to be looking at here today. Okay, this video is for information purposes only, not a recommendation to buy, sell any stock, commodity, ETF. Please like, subscribe. Thanks for watching. Okay, here we have the oil seasonality chart. Now I'm starting to get a lot of more subscribers here, so we just always want to just stay on top of all this here, so they have all fresh news here, and everything's up to date for everything that who's coming into the room here that is new. Okay, now again, I have this all on my playlist. All you have to do is just click on the playlist there, and I have everything like the seasonality charts and and chart patterns and candlesticks and everything. But let's just do a quick review here today. Okay, here we are with the crude oil now. We're looking here at the end of June. That's where we are going on right now. Now you can see what a nice we had this pullback here in the crude, and this is a chart again is over 20-year period. So we had this nice pullback, and now you can see here where this kind of rallies all the way up here until realistically till the end of September. Now August, you can see, is a very, very volatile month here as an up and down trading month. But what I usually do is you want to get long all the way here, but I'll explain that in a little bit. So really here, what we want to do is we want to stay long, obviously here to the end of September. Then what I usually do is I'll take a short position here, get rid of that long, take a short position here, all the way to the first week of December. Now you say, well, why is it December? Well, usually what it does is this rallies right on up here all the way till like the first, I always say a couple, 3 days there in January, then I sell right out of position. Now, we usually have a sideways action in January and February, but this is where I started building positions here, like in the XLE, that's the big oil. I'll take a position there in crude oil long, like USO, and then I always take a position in gasoline in the UGA, which is the gasoline ETF, okay? So that always works out really good. And then you can see where you're having this big run up here all the way here to seasonality here, okay? Yeah. Okay, we have some jets flying overhead. We have the Blue Angels in our town here for the last couple of days here. Just an awesome show that they always put on. It's like a 4-hour show. We have all different kind of planes and aircrafts and stunts and everything, and then we end up with the Blue Angels, and it's just an awesome show here. So that's what you hear. If you hear a lot of jets, that's what's going on here. Okay. So anyway, what we do here is we take this a long position here, stay long here till the end of September. Then we want to go short ski all the way down here to the first week of December, and then you want to run it all the way and up. And then this is here where I acquired a position in XLE and gasoline and the crude oil, and then we just run that all up to the Memorial Day, all the way to here till we get to this like a bottoming thing here in June, and then we just rally that bad boy right on up here. But don't be afraid to take it off the table once we get here to the end of September. August again is a very, very volatile month. You can see it a choppy in it, and we have that hurricane season. Now it looks like the hurricanes are already starting to build up here early than anticipated. Already early, they're already starting to come out here. So this could be a very, very violent storm for the year going on. Okay, let's take a look here at natural gas. Okay, here we have natural gas. Now you can see here where you really run up into June, like pretty much what we had, and then it sells right on off here. Now again, if you have a real hot season, then your power plants are going to need a lot of natural gas going on here. But this weather has been very, very strange this year. I know, like where I am, we've had 89 degrees last year, in the last week, I should say, and then all of a sudden now this week here, yesterday, you had like 60 degrees here. So there's a big, big difference, what I'm saying, in the weather. So you got to have a steady heat here to rise that right on up here. But you can see here at the end of June, and it just falls right on off here until you get September. Then this is where you really want to buy, where it looks like, oh, natural gas is terrible, and it's going to break right on down here and retest these levels. It doesn't, because what it is, you're trading in here for that winter season kind of a situation. But you always want to get out. Once you start getting that mid-December, you got to get the heck out of that trade here, because now you're looking at the January, February, March contract kind of situation coming into the situation. So this is not what you want to do. You want to make sure that you sell it, but take the run up here, never get greedy, take it out of there, be patient with your trade, and then get the hell out. Or like what I do is I usually just short natural gas right on down. Okay, let's go to the next chart here. Okay, here we have chart patterns. Now, this is what I usually like to do here, as I always like to look for patterns within the charts, okay? And that's what gives you that little bit of edge. So right here, what we use, we have a double top situation where you run right on up here, comes down, and then we can't get through, and then it comes right down to that neckline. So here's an example of how pretty much how it's going to look, okay? So you can see where it runs on up here, comes on down, retest that, and then you put in, a lot of times you put in a lower high, and it comes down, tests that neckline. Now, if it loses that neckline, this is what happens with the trade, okay? You come down and then it's all the way and down. So always want to watch here for them double top situation. Now, here's just the exact opposite, these double bottoms. These are always what I like to look for. And then when it gets up to that neckline, like we have here, okay, see how it goes and gets to the neckline. Now, sometimes they'll come off, and most of the time what it does is it'll do this here and break right on up here and just, shoot right on up here. So always look for the double tops, double bottom situation. Okay, here we have a head and shoulders pattern. Now, right now on crude oil, we have right here, we have that inverse head and shoulders pattern. That's why she's rising up very nicely. But when you see this head and shoulders pattern, we have left shoulder, head, right shoulder. This is kind of situation it looks like, okay? So it never looks really clean like this. This is what it looks like. Comes down, look here like this. And then you can't really get through this situation. Then this is what you get. It ends right on up here. So you got to never, when you cross that neckline, get the hell out or short, and then she's going to come down. But this is what we have going on in crude oil right now here, okay? You have that inverse pattern where she went down, and then we have that inverse head and shoulders pattern where you have your left shoulder, your head, and your right shoulder, and then she's like this, and then she's ripping up higher, and this is what we're doing right now in crude oil. Okay, we have these rising wedge patterns, so this is what it looks like here, and like an exact science, but this is what it looks like in reality. Okay, so when you're rising up, you're rising up, you're rising up, and then what you do is we don't know which way it's going to break. A lot of times, it'll just will break right down to the bottom. Usually when you have a rising wedge, it's almost like a bear flag situation. And this is what you have coming on down. And then it's a sell signal once you lose that trend line. Okay, so you never want to do that, but this is just the opposite, okay, where you have, it's almost like a bull flag, okay, see it's flagging on down. Here's what it looks like in reality. And then as that flags, and once you start breaking that trend line, then she just rips up higher where everybody thinks it's going to keep going down, and then she just rips up higher. You squeeze all the shorts, and then you got yourself a nice profit there to the upside. Okay, when we have these downtrends like this here, this is like just like it's almost very similar to what that is, but you're basically you're downtrending, but you got a rising wedge going higher here, and that never ends well. That's always come down like there, like this situation. But right here, this is almost like a bull flag where it just rises up, and then when you break that, and then she just pops right up. So always try to look for patterns within those charts, and that'll give you that little bit of edge in trading. Okay, let's go to the next chart. Okay, here's a scalping situation. I've showed this before here. What you do is it comes right on down, okay? And it puts in a low. And then it rises all the way up here, right down to this neckline. And then it comes down, and this is the pattern that I always look for, where it comes down and it makes a higher low than what we have here. That's always very bullish. But what you do is you never buy that, because obviously that could come down even lower. So you always wait for that green candle. Once you get that green candle, then this is kind of the scenario that you get, and it runs right up higher, okay? So always watch this. Always look for that retest, because a lot of times what it does, it comes right on up here. Sometimes that retest will come down and even get a little bit lower and put like a red dog. A red dog is basically where it goes lower and then it rallies up higher, but you don't want to buy that. You always want to buy that candle next to it, and then that's a green candle, and then we just ride it right on up here. But if you see patterns like this with that higher low, that's always very, very bullish kind of a situation. And I'm going to show you here a little bit later on a crude oil chart exactly what I'm talking about here. But this kind of pattern is always good. But a lot of times when this rallies up here, always watch this neckline, because a lot of times what you can do is you can rally back up here and it sells down. But once you break through that neckline, then she rallies up very, very nicely. So just check out this kind of a pattern within the charts. Okay, let's go to the next chart. Okay, here we just have some basic candlestick patterns here, okay? So what you have is this bullish engulfing. You have a red candle, and it's really kind of, in directional. You don't know what it's going to happen. But the next day, what happens is this comes down lower. And then what happens? People think, oh, it's going to go down lower. And then it starts to rallying, and then this candle engulfs the high and the low of the previous day. That's always very, very bullish. And obviously, you can see here, this is the bear. This is just the opposite, where you get a green candle, and then it runs up higher, and then it comes all the way down. down, and then it just engulfs it on the downside. That's very, very, never very good. And this is always very good because what you have is here is this is very, very bullish because you have the red candle. And then you have what this call is like an inside day. You always see me bringing that up all the time, where your highs and your low are inside of the previous day's high and low. But it's a green candle. That's always a very, very bullish sign. This is just the opposite because you have the green candle and then you get an inside day, but it's a red candle. That's never very good. That's not what you want to see. Now, this is always a good pattern here when you have on the bullish, because what you have is a nice big red candle, and then you open the day up and it comes up just higher, goes right up higher, and then it just rallies up nice here. Three soldiers, these are always good because you got that series of, I always talk about this, higher highs and higher lows. That's always very, very bullish. This here, lower highs and lower lows. This is right now what we have on natural gas. Okay, that's not looking, you never want to have that unless you're short. Then it's that for a situation. Same way here, you have a green, and then when it opens up red to the downside. Once you put in a lower low than the previous day, that's usually very bearish, and down she goes. Okay, let's go to the next chart here. Okay, here we have some more candlesticks here that you can look at anytime, okay? So what we have here is you have a nice hammer, because see how green it closes up and you have a hammer, and it's like a bottoming tail, but it's green. Now, this here you say, oh, geez, that's bearish here. Well, no, not really, because it's still a green candle. You rallied up here, but you finished green, okay? Now, this is a continuation pattern here, okay? It's where you just go series of higher highs, higher lows, but then you have that big green, that red candle, which kind of engulfs it, but that's usually a lot more bullish than what it appears. I don't really particularly like this kind of a scenario. I like it where it was this stays high, because I don't like it where one candle engulfs all three. But again, it's a bullish situation, but I don't look for something like on that order. This is that bullish engulfing where you have your red candle, and then your green just takes right on over, and boom, off she goes. Now here, this is always what I look for, is that tweezer bottoms, where you have a low, and then we have another tweezer, but with the green candle, that takes it right up nicely, okay? This here is almost like a bull flag. You have their big pole going on here, and then it just kind of drifts off. And then you have this one green candle that engulfs that whole all those three red candles there. Morningstar here, this is always very bullish, because what you have is, this is like an indecision candle. And then when it turns green like that, that's always good, positive to the upside. This here, these 3 stars, this is always what you want to watch out there too, because what you have is one big candle, and then you got a smaller candle and a smaller candle. That tells you that the selling is coming out, and that's about ready time to rally on up here. And here's basically your bull flag situation. You have your pole, and it's this slightly leaning down, and then you have that green candle, and it just rips up higher than what your pole is. That tells you she's going higher. Now here, just obviously just the opposite. You get that hanging man, but like the hammer, the hanging man ends up in the red, okay? Same way with that shooting star. See, it ends up in the red. That's never good, okay? Bearish engulfing. See how that red just engulfed the previous day right to the downside. And here's your tweezer top. Now, these here are coming very handy if you're going to be shorting something. So where it runs on up here, and the next day it runs up higher, but it leaves red. That's never good unless you're short, okay? So evening star, obviously just the opposite of what that is, okay? And then you get that red candle, and down she comes. Now, these here are, this looks like it'd be bullish, okay? However, you can see where it's just the opposite of what this is, because the candles start getting smaller, smaller. That means the buying is going out of the trade, and then down she's going to come. Continuation pattern here. It's the same thing, pretty much is different than what this is. This kind of like wipes it out. To me, I kind of look at this the opposite of what they got going here. I like to do when you slide on it down, and then you get the 3 candles that wipe it right on out. Now, the falling wedge here, man, you got a pole here, and then this is like a bear flag going on up here, and then you get that red candle, and psh, down she goes there. You know what I'm saying? Same way here, this is just a typical bear flag where you can't even meet the high of that, and it comes all the way down, and then it shoots right down, and you're going to go lower. Now, these are neutral candles. This is like an indecision candle, the same way what's going on here and right on here, because you're not leaving anything like a hangman here, you know what I'm saying, with the green or the red, or on the green or the red here. So it's just like this is indecision. So this could go either way. Okay, let's go to the next chart here. Okay, here we have your crude oil, your 1 minute, and your 5 minute chart. Now, what I always like about this is, see, I always talk about, see, we have a low, higher low, higher low. Okay, see how nice and But when you get a candle like this, okay, see that topping tail candle? That means you got to sell it, get out of that trade, comes on down. However, if you notice that, okay, this is very bearish here. However, if you notice that the bottom of that candle is still higher than that, higher there, and higher there. So that series is still intact, which tells me that the next green candle, okay, that I can get into is a good buying opportunity here to take this higher. Then when I get to the top here, then what I do is I want to look at the top of that candle. Just for example, is 81.68. But then I want to go to the left here, okay, and look at this candle here. You're looking at 81.80. So you see, wow, this is a lower low, and we have like a topping situation. Even though you have a green candle next to it, it tells me you got to get out of that trade. But then what we do is we now have another bottoming situation going on here. And then you notice that where the bottom of this candle here is still higher than all of these. See that rising up? That tells you can get back in the trade. Now, this is kind of like the end of the day situation, but you can still get into and back into the trade here. Then we just got a flattening here. So you're not going to get that much out of the trade, but you will get something here. If you want to go like the next day, you want to stay long, okay? But always look for patterns like this where you have that low, that higher low, higher low. But when you see candle like on there, then that tells you that you got to get out of the trade, okay? And just be patient. Patience is the key to this. Let it come down, okay? Now, this would have rally came all the way down here, and then you would have lost that low and that low and that low. Well, then you don't take the long, okay? You just let it slip. Now, a lot of times what I do is I'll short this, but in this time period here, between now and the end of September, I'm only taking really long trades in the crude oil, okay? Natural gas, yes, I take the short trade because as we showed you on the seasonality, that can come down. But this is what we're looking for here, like on the long side of a situation here. So what you do is you just wait for that nice rally. But remember, never get greedy. When you start seeing these topping situations like this, and then you start seeing the red candles, just get out of the trade. Just wait for it to happen. See what happens. If this comes all the way down here again, well, then you don't take the trade. But right here, then you want to get right back in here. So really a 1 minute and a 5 minute is a good way to trade. And then you can see here how nice that is on the way up. But always look for topping situations. Look for these bottom situations. And this is what you always want to look for here. It's when you can get that series of higher lows. That's always very, very bullish situation going on here. Okay, let's just take a look here at another chart real quick. Okay, here we have crude oil and natural gas here on your daily chart. Okay, so you can see here, this is what I was talking about, that inverse head and shoulder. See, there's your left shoulder, there's your head, and there's your right shoulder, and then she's running up here very, very nicely. Now, you can see that you can stay long here as long as you hold that 8 simple moving average, okay? That is exactly what you're looking for. That's very key. Now, here on Friday, we had a little topping tail situation. However, you closed above the 8-day. So what you want to do is watch the futures tonight at 6 o'clock when they open, and just to see exactly, you want to watch the high, okay, Friday's high, that's at 82.72, that low at 80.97, and it closed at 81.46. That's what you're trading against, okay? But again, if you can get above that, then what you do is just look to the left of the chart here, okay, right here, and that's your resistance levels. On the downside, you always just watch that 8 SMA. If that's lost, then you just follow the candles. Okay, the example like here, you got the low of 80.97. That's going to be your support if you lose that 8-day. And then you have 80.51, and then we come down here to 80.18, and then you start running into your key support levels, your 79, that's your 100 SMA here, your 200 SMA here, and your 50 SMA here. But as long as you hold that 8-day, this is still very bullish and wants to go higher, okay? Another thing you always want to watch here is this MACD. Okay, see when you have the green over red, this is a buy signal. That tells you that you got to get into that trade, and then it just rallies right on up here. Now, on here on your RSI, you're looking at 58, but there's a lot of things that you can look on here and just to see. Now, right now, there's really no divergences. There's no nothing. Versus like on RSI here, okay, on your natural gas here, see where you have a high, and then we had a high. But we had a higher high, and you had a lower high. That's one of the first tells that says that you got to get out of that trade, okay? That's exactly what you're looking for, that's going to go lower. Then again, see that green below? That's a sell signal, just like this is a buy signal, okay? Now you can see where natural gas is just coming right on off here. It's coming off here pretty hard here too. But again, this is no surprise when you look at the seasonality chart on exactly where this is going to be going here. So now you got this another scenario here of high, lower, and series of lower lows. So what you're going to be doing is looking for that price channel next 2.51, and then we're going to look for that 200-day, which is 2.47, and then you have that there at 2.46 here, that 50-day. So this should be pretty good support here. Again, if that's lost here, we follow the candles down, and then you could come all the way down here to this 100-day very, very easy here. But again, you have a lot of good support here. It's not just your price channel, your 200-day and your 50-day, but you always these candles right here, because we were trading this box area, and we had a nice series, see a low, higher low, higher low, and then a nice series of higher lows and higher highs. Look how nice that rallied up. See, when you get this the opposite, this is what happens. And then you always watch that 8 simple moving average. See how it went right into it? Couldn't get it. Yeah, did you go above it? Absolutely. Did it close above it? Oh, hell no. Look at all this. See? That's very, very key. This is why you want to trade the charts. Another thing is when you look at this 8 SMA, when that 8 SMA crosses below that 21-day, that's always negative, okay? Just like this here, that's a negative. That's sell signal. When you see this divergence, that's a sell signal. So you always want to look for those red flags. So now as this comes down, we got to see if it's going to hold this 2.51 area, that candle, and the 200-day and the 50-day. If it doesn't, then we can just go lower. But again, this would be a nice shorting. Any kind of a rally on up here looks like a good shorting opportunity coming all the way on down. Okay, that's what I got for you here on the weekend. I'll be going to be back here tonight. Yeah, the future's open at 6 o'clock. I'll have a video here before 7 o'clock on crude oil and natural gas, and we'll get you all set up there for Monday. Okay, thanks for watching.